I got married. Then found out she's my third cousin. You know how every wedding has that one weird uncle who shows up half drunk and ready to spill family secrets no one asked for? Yeah. Turns out, he was right. Let me back up a little. My name's Matt. I'm 27, born and raised in a small town in Georgia, one of those places where there's a Walmart, 2 churches, and enough family gossip to power a soap opera for 3 generations. I moved to Nashville a few years ago to get away from all that. I met Emily at a dog park, of all places. She was chasing after this chunky golden retriever named Bean, who had stolen my frisbee and refused to give it back. She had on ripped jeans, muddy sneakers, and no makeup, and I swear, I fell in love right then and there. We dated for a little over a year. She was smart, funny, a little impulsive but in a charming way. We talked about everything except family, really. I mean, we mentioned our families in passing, but nothing deep. She said hers was kind of scattered, a mix of southern roots and military relocations. I just said mine was complicated, which it is, and that was that. Fast forward to our wedding day, small ceremony, mostly friends, a few relatives on each side. We kept it low-key. Simple. Perfect. Until Uncle Ron happened. Ron is my mom's older brother. Shows up late to the reception, already red in the face with a beer in hand. My mom begged me not to invite him, but I thought, what's the worst that could happen? Well, we're halfway through dinner when Ron pulls me aside and goes, "Hey, Matty boy. That new wife of yours, what's her last name again?" I tell him Emily Harper. He squints at me, then lets out this low whistle. "You know your grandma was a Harper before she married your granddad, right?" I blink. "What?" "Yep. Lillian Harper. Her daddy was Wilfred Harper, had a bunch of brothers. One of them moved out to Tennessee, I think. Had kids and grandkids. Small world, huh?" My stomach dropped. At first, I laughed it off. Just drunk uncle talk, right? Except something nagged at me all night. The name. The place. The look on Ron's face when he said, "small world." Emily and I left for our honeymoon the next morning. Asheville, cute Airbnb cabin in the mountains, but I couldn't shake it. So while she was in the shower one night, I opened my laptop and started digging. Genealogy sites. Obituaries. Marriage licenses. I went full Reddit mode investigator. And what I found? Her great-grandfather and my great-grandmother were siblings. Which makes Emily my third cousin. I sat there staring at the screen like someone had punched me in the brain. Because this wasn't some distant relative from 1700s Europe crap. This was real. Immediate. Traceable. And I had just married her. So there I was, sitting in the world's coziest Airbnb cabin with string lights and Esmores kits, and a browser tab open showing me that I had just legally married someone with whom I share a great-great-grandparent. I didn't sleep that night. I didn't move for a full hour. Just sat there, hands locked behind my head, staring into the abyss of a family tree I didn't even know existed 48 hours earlier. The next morning, Emily woke up all glowing and smiley, rolled over, and said, "Hi, husband." And all I could think was, yeah. Husband/cousin, apparently. I had to tell her. So over breakfast, this beautiful spread she made with eggs, bacon, and fresh berries, I blurted it out like a damn lunatic. "I think we might be related." She froze, spat out her orange juice, and looked at me like I'd just confessed to being a Russian spy. "Excuse me?" I explained. Everything. Uncle Ron, the late-night Google deep dive, the matching names in our family trees. I even pulled out my laptop and showed her the family connection on the screen. She just stared at it. Silent. Wide-eyed. Then she said, "Wait. Like, how related?" I pointed to the diagram and said, as gently as possible, "We're third cousins." There was a long pause. Then she started laughing. Not a chuckle, full-on belly laughing like I'd just told her the funniest joke in the world. "Oh my god. I thought you were gonna say we were siblings or something. Third cousins? That's it?" I blinked. "You're not freaked out?" She shrugged, still laughing. "Honestly? This sounds like something out of an old Southern Gothic novel. I mean, it's weird, yeah. But it's not that weird. It's not even illegal." She wasn't wrong. After a quick sanity check with a lawyer later that week, we found out that in most states, including Tennessee and Georgia, third cousin marriages are completely legal and not considered incestuous by any legal or medical standard. But still, I was spiraling. That night, Emily and I sat out on the porch with whiskey and a Bluetooth speaker playing old 70s soul music. We talked it out. She was surprisingly calm. Even cracked a few jokes. "So technically I could have met you at a family reunion? Does this mean we should combine our Ancestry.com accounts?" But I couldn't laugh yet. I felt dirty. Like I tripped into some strange Southern stereotype I didn't ask for. The truth is, I've always had this fear of turning into my family. Small town, close-minded, stuck in their bubble types. The kind who say, we don't need outsiders, we've got plenty of good genes right here in the family tree. And now, I was literally living out their nightmare. I kept waiting for it to feel normal again. But it didn't. Not when we got home. Not when I told my mom. And especially not when Ron posted some half-drunk Facebook status saying, tried to tell him not to marry within the bloodline. Guess he had to learn the hard way. Thanks, Ron. But the real disaster came 2 weeks later at our family cookout. Emily wanted to rip the band-aid off and just tell everyone at once. Get it over with. I told her this was a terrible idea. Spoiler, it was. We get there. My grandma's grilling hot dogs, her dad's playing cornhole with my brother, and everyone's having a nice, peaceful, not at all ready for an ancestral bombshell kind of afternoon. And right there, over a tray of deviled eggs, Emily stands up and says, so, fun fact. Matt and I found out we're third cousins. Isn't that wild? It got so quiet you could have heard a potato chip break. Then my cousin Kayla whispered, not quietly enough. Oh my god, they're incest married. Someone choked on their drink. My uncle muttered knew it under his breath. And my mom just closed her eyes like she was trying to reset the universe by sheer willpower. That was the last family event we were invited to. After the cookout disaster, the fallout came fast and loud. Word spread like wildfire through my hometown. Small-town gossip moves quicker than Wi-Fi. Someone must have texted someone else before we'd even finished packing up the folding chairs, because by the next morning, Facebook was on fire. There were posts like, prayers for Matt and Emily as they navigate this difficult family revelation, folded hands. And worse ones. I knew there was something off about that girl. Too friendly at the last Harper funeral. And of course, you can take the boy out of Georgia. Emily tried to play it cool at first. She even made a TikTok joking about it. Something like, POV, you marry the love of your life then find out you've both got the same great-great-grandpa. It went semi-viral. Comments were a mix of girls same and this is why ancestry tests should be required before dating. But underneath it all, I could tell it was starting to get to her. And honestly, it was getting to me, too. I found myself looking at her differently, not because she changed, but because I had this weird filter now. Like, every time she talked about her grandparents, my brain would flash a damn family tree diagram. One night, about 3 weeks after the cookout, we got into it. We were lying in bed, lights off, and she quietly asked, if you had known, from the start, would you have still dated me? It felt like someone clamped my chest. I didn't answer right away. Because honestly, I didn't know. Would I have flirted with the cute girl at the dog park if someone had tapped me on the shoulder and whispered, hey, you guys are third cousins? Probably not. But then again, I would have missed the most meaningful relationship of my entire life. So I told her that. I don't know if I would have pursued you. But I know I'd regret the hell out of not doing it. She nodded, eyes glossy in the dark, and said, same. We tried to move on. Keep our heads down. Live our lives like normal married people. But the pressure? It didn't let up. Her side of the family found out a few weeks later. Her aunt actually called me and demanded to know if this blood thing was a joke or not. When I explained it wasn't, she said, so y'all just gonna keep playing house like you're not kin? Yes, Aunt Barbara. That's exactly what we're doing. Then there was the time we went to a family barbecue on her side, and someone casually introduced me as Matt, the cousin husband. After that, Emily started pulling back from her own people. She stopped returning group texts, declined birthday invites. She said she was tired of being the punchline. It killed me to watch her shrink like that. Because she didn't do anything wrong. Neither of us did. We fell in love. Third cousins or not, it was real. But the world doesn't always care about nuance. It likes black and white. Right or wrong. Normal or not. The real breaking point came when we went to a new doctor for a couple's health screening, just routine stuff. We were filling out the family history forms, and when we got to the section about shared ancestry, we paused. She looked at me. I looked at her. Then she quietly wrote, married to third cousin, known, confirmed. The nurse read it, looked up, and went, oh wow. You don't see that every day. I laughed, kind of nervously. But Emily? She didn't laugh. She just stared at the paper and said, I don't know if I can do this forever, Matt. And my heart sank. After that moment at the doctor's office, the nurse's raised eyebrow, the clipboard, the silence, something shifted between us. Not in a big, dramatic way. More like a crack under the surface. You don't feel it right away, but over time, it spreads. Quietly. Until everything starts to feel fragile. Emily didn't bring it up again for a while, but I could tell she was carrying it. Like her shoulders were always a little tense. Like she was waiting for someone to say something, even when we were alone. We started watching less TV, having fewer inside jokes, sleeping a little farther apart on the bed. And then, one night, she said it. Soft, steady, no tears, just truth. I don't think I want kids. I blinked. We'd always talked about it like a someday thing. Nothing set in stone. But hearing her say it like that definite, final, it caught me off guard. You mean ever? I asked. She nodded. I don't think I can bring a kid into the world knowing they'd have to grow up answering questions about us. About where they came from. And yeah, I'd thought about it too. What if our future kid Googled our names one day and saw all the viral TikToks? The gossip posts? The comments? I didn't say anything. Because I didn't know what to say. A week later, she packed a bag. Not in a dramatic, storm out the door kind of way. More like someone going on a long trip and not sure when they'll be back. She said she needed time. Not a break. Not a divorce. Just time. I love you, Matt, she told me, hand on the door. But I need to figure out if this is who I am, or just what happened to me. And just like that, she was gone. The house felt too quiet. Her coffee mug was still in the sink. Bean, her golden retriever, kept pacing the hallway like he expected her to walk through the door any minute. I didn't text her. Not for the first week. I wanted to respect her space. But that space started to feel more like a canyon I didn't know how to cross. 2 months later, we met at a park. Neutral ground. Bean was there, wagging his tail like nothing had changed. We sat on a bench. She looked healthier. Rested. Like she'd found something I hadn't. I've been talking to a therapist, she said. A genealogist, too. I needed to understand where I came from before I could figure out where I'm going. I nodded, waiting for the other shoe to drop. She looked me in the eyes. I still love you. That hasn't changed. Pause. But I don't think I can be your wife anymore. It hit me like a slow-moving truck. Not a sudden wreck. Just a slow crush of inevitability. She wasn't saying she didn't love me. She was saying it wasn't enough. Not with the weight of everything, our shared blood, the pressure, the labels. And I couldn't fight her on that. I loved her too much to ask her to carry something she didn't choose. We filed for an annulment. It's easier when the marriage is less than a year old. No mess. No lawyers. Just a quiet visit to the courthouse and a signature that felt heavier than it should have. We agreed to stay friends. Whether or not that actually happens, I don't know. But here's what I do know. Love is real. Even when it doesn't last. Even when it's messy, weird, and DNA bound. And sometimes, the most loving thing you can do? Is let go.